I am Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots. The greatest sci-fi show on Earth is about to begin.
Your Star Wars Experience Panel. What we're going to do is we're going to pass the mic down. I'm sure that you all know these people, but everybody's going to talk.
What, you're going to pass the mic down? Come on, Mike, come over here. Here we go, there we go.
I should have thought about what I was saying. Spencer's on stage. They're going to tell you a little bit about their experiences being on Star Wars, and we're going to go straight to a Q&A so that you can ask questions. So without further ado,
Thank you so much. Hey, thank you for coming. If you ever want to do a ventriloquist act, could I be your dummy?
Just what's where you put in your hand.
Okay, all right then. Well,
be
we'll
pulling
work on
any
that one
strings.
later. So let's see. Mike Quinn, puppeteer, creature performer. Started out with Jim Henson in 1980 and worked with him for his last 10 years of his career on Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, and of course that led into Return of the Jedi, which led into The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Episode 9. So let's see. I don't know what to say about myself. I'm also an animator, a character animator. I worked at Pixar for a few years and at ILM as well on Jurassic Park 3. People don't know that. So I'm one of the few people that's transitioned from analog to digital, and both in the physical, practical world as well as the animated world as well. So anyway, I don't know what else to say. Let's just move on.
Right, my name's Spencer Welding. You might know me from Star Wars. I played a big fella, Darth Vader. But how I got into the industry, I was a professional fighter. I was the Welsh and British kickboxing champion, knocked everybody out. Moved on to the professional boxing. And then, because of my physicality, my first role was playing the werewolf in Azkaban. And then I went to Batman Begins, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Bale from Grendel, Dead Man's Cards, Eragon, Stardust, Golden Compass, Game of Thrones, Doctor Who's, Wolfman, Guardians of the Galaxy, Victor Frankenstein, Green Street. Any Green Street fans in? Adam, I'll smash your face in. That guy, Mason, head of Millwall. And then ended up in Star Wars. So it's awesome to be in the Star Wars family and meet these guys. They rock. Woo!
Hi, I'm Nick Maylie. They call me the Yoda guy because of my involvement in building the original Yoda for Empire Strikes Back, but I made a bunch of movies before that and after that. I'm known as a builder of creature effects for movies like Life Force, where we destroyed London, and just a whole range of different movies. I worked on Superman as well. With Yoda, of course, Yoda was the first animatronic superstar. No one had known whether or not we could actually make a puppet that people would believe, and so that was a major concern and something that we were struggling with at the time. Fortunately, we didn't screw up. And so, the rest has become history. I do a lot of talks for encouraging young people to follow their dreams, so all you young guys can come talk to me at my table later on. I'll tell you how to get wherever it is you're trying to go. So, questions that relate to that or the movies, no problem.
Hi, my name is Bernd Colasso, and it's really an honor to be invited here to Manchester for the love of sci-fi. Well, my first experience of Star Wars was The Force Awakens, where I played a general, and then from then on I starred in Rogue One, where I played a stormtrooper, as well as in The Last Jedi, where I played a stormtrooper again. But I really started in the film industry many years ago, like 30 years ago. Started doing student films, unpaid work sometimes, and theater work, and a few commercials here and there. And gradually I worked my way up, and over the years people gain the trust in you and offer you larger roles, so that's where I am at. So please, if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Come on, bring it. We've come to see
That's
you.
good. We can all go home now. Okay.
Nice t-shirt. I was there a few weeks ago. Rocky, I run up the stairs all the way and they've moved him. It was a waste of time. Where's he gone? He's down at the bottom.
Hi. You said you played Darth Vader. Did you speak to Dave Prowse? Has he given you any sort of advice, hints, or anything like that?
I met Dave Prowse because I've been on the circuit now since 2010. I met Dave Prowse several years ago, and I think it was in Bolton at a Comic-Con there, and I shook his hand because, you know, he's the man. Do you know what I mean? He's Darth Vader. He's the number one. I shook his hand, and it was for us, just for a moment there. He looked at me, and we shook hands, and something was there. I felt something in the force. But yeah, the hardest thing was Dave rang me up when I couldn't confirm or deny, because the rumour was out for over a year of me playing the character. And once you sign the dotted line, you can't. I had the Sun newspaper, the Mirror knocking on my door. The teachers at the school were asking me kids, and the kids had got the poker face going on because they didn't know anyway. But yeah, it was the hardest thing when Dave Prowse got in touch with me on Twitter, and he goes, "Congratulations on getting the role." And I said, "I'm really sorry, Dave, but I can't confirm or deny." And I had to say that to Mr. Prowse, and it was like, oh, you know what I mean? What I wanted to say was, yeah, your boots really fit well, and your helmet feels great, and your cloak is brilliant. But yeah, it was awesome. But Dave, you know, he's the man, and he is the man on the circuit, you know, and he always will be. And, you know, I hope he's okay. It's a reminder, look at the size of his muscles.
Anybody?
Questions?
The back.
If you can come further forward.
Yeah, you can't see
What film? Damien.
Just got a question for Lord Vader, if I may.
Omen.
On Rogue One, I heard a rumour that Christopher Nolan was one of the extras in the scene towards the end where the plans are handed across to the rebels and get away. Is it true that that was Christopher Nolan in that scene?
Can't answer that, I'm afraid. I can't answer that.
Oh.
I can't answer that. Sorry, mate. Apparently, I had a rumour that when I was doing the stills and stuff for the promotion, you know, Prince William is one of the guys. I went, really? But no, I don't know. Rumours. Don't believe everything you read on the net.
Although I played a stormtrooper on Rogue One, I never actually were in the same scenes as Spencer or Christopher Patrick Nolan, so I can't really answer that. But I have seen Christopher Patrick Nolan at a convention in Germany where he basically is there as a guest doing various signings for people. So yes, I don't know if Spencer can't answer that. I definitely can't answer that because I was never in that same scene with them. Although I've worked on Rogue One, we are only told as much as we need to know, and we're always working on just specific scenes, and you're not allowed to talk to anyone about anything. It's high secrecy with Disney and Lucasfilms, and that's the way they like it. So, sorry, I can't answer that.
It's all on you, brother.
Who's your favourite character on Star Wars?
Sorry?
Who's your favourite character?
Is that for me?
All of yours.
Okay. I'll tell you what, I'll start. My favorite character might well be, at least specifically Star Wars, or, yeah, well, let's start with that. I guess I would say Yoda, just because he was a puppet for one thing, and I love puppets, but he's also part of when I was getting into becoming a puppeteer. So I was still at school when Empire Strikes Back was coming out, and I was a big Muppet fan, so I already knew Frank Oz and those guys and what they did. But this was really the first animatronic creature ever, live action, in a film. It was before E.T. even. So I remember seeing pictures of Yoda thinking, how in the world are they going to bring this guy to life? He's not a Muppet. How does he work? How does he move? So I was really fascinated by that. And so, yeah, so Yoda was, and the thing is, when, as you know, when Yoda was first seen in Empire Strikes Back, people didn't really know how he was worked. I remember hearing somebody behind say, "Oh, it's a guy in a costume." You know, they didn't realize he was a puppet. But the audience just always fell silent in the theater during that scene on Dagobah, right? You remember that? And it was just magical, right?
I think one of the major things there was the way that Kirsch gave him time.
Yeah.
He allowed, they could easily have had Yoda as a little Miss Piggy or a Muppet.
Comedy
or
thing.
kind of character, but no, they calmed it right down. What we built was something that no one had seen before.
Yeah.
But what the puppeteers did to bring him to life, to give him dignity, and you've got a puppet giving philosophy and saying stuff. If we'd rushed through it the way that they kind of went a bit fast on The Last Jedi, Yoda's scene was kind of very quick and went through. If they'd done that, I don't think Yoda would have been as popular. But giving him the time to show that he was...
So it's the writing, it's also the directing, it's Stuart Freeborn and the team who made, he could have so horribly gone wrong, but he didn't. He was great. But also, we have to the writing and everything too. But we have to give Frank Oz as well, of course, a lot of credit, because he approached Yoda as though he was a real character, a real actor, basically, not as a puppet or a muppet or anything like that. He approached him with just as though he were acting himself. So Yoda, Yoda is part of my story, I guess. So for me, he's my favorite. Anyway, that was a long answer to a short question.
Yeah, Princess Leia. I was secretly in love with Princess Leia when I was a kid, but I loved the Ewoks. I was one of them kids that loved all the creature performers and stuff like that, and the puppeteers. Love Darth Vader. He's the man. He's great. You know what? I like everything about the original Star Wars, the trilogy. I just fell in love with them when I was a kid. I remember my dad took me to see the film when I was 5 years old in 1977, right? And my dad took me to this film because I said I wanted to go and see Star Wars. And I was in the cinema for about 10, 15 minutes when the film had started. And I was looking at the screen, I'm going, where's all the spaceships, where's all this, where's all that? But the first time round, he didn't want to see it, so he took me to see Pink Panther. Pink Panther. And then he took me again the following week and said, sorry. But I was like, it's in my head, I was only 5. I thought, this is a strange looking ship. Pink Panther.
Yeah, well, like Mike, obviously I have an affection for Yoda because he largely changed my life and my career and other things. But, we also worked on Chewbacca. I always liked Chewbacca and R2-D2. I guess I had a penchant for those not so real human characters, because I seem to prefer those to most of the others. The ones that got a bit of humor and a bit of spirit, so.
For me, it would have to be Darth Vader. That's the iconic role that, So, I liked Dave Prowse playing that role, and also Spencer in the movie. And I also love Chewie as well. Who doesn't love Chewie? So those are the really two characters I can really say I like in the movies.
Actually, I just want to add one more thing. The Millennium Falcon is also a favorite character of mine.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Manchester. I've just got a question for Spencer. Obviously, with you doing your martial arts and becoming British champion, that's an achievement in itself. So well done for that.
Cheers.
I do martial arts myself. I've been doing it for about 20 years, so I'm really interested in that. But can you tell me if it's possible, will there be any more Star Wars movies further down the line, and will any of you guys be appearing in them?
You mean, will I be in any of the Star Wars? Is that what you're asking? You know what?
Guys?
If I... no, there's such a huge, production. That's just going to go on for galaxies, I'm sure, forever and ever and ever. I can't answer if I'm going to be in the film again. Just one of them, I'll probably be the last to find out. But I am busy with other stuff. We just signed and sealed, throw away the key until the Emperor will allow to be, let it out. Yeah, but great question. Kickboxing, you're a martial art. Well, you must work with a lot of children, so well done you. I work a lot with children. I've got my own dojos. I'm the painter at Vantage Bullion back home as well. So it's one of them. I love kids. Couldn't eat a full one though, but you know, it's one of them.
Hi guys. Obviously, George Lucas's vision of the sequels was very different recently when it came out in the press. What are your thoughts on how different his vision of the sequels would be compared to what the sequels actually are at the moment?
Oh, let's see. That's an interesting. So lovely weather we're having. No, I think it feels like George was kind of done with them. You know, originally the idea was he wanted to make 9 films, and we knew that during Jedi. But it seemed like he was just done and didn't want to make the other 3. I always felt that if he'd made them earlier, you know, like back to back, then they would have been pretty much in the area of the original films. But so much time had passed. You know, he was in a different place. Filmmaking was also in a different place. It was evolving very quickly, the style of filmmaking. So I feel that the new movies are I guess where they need to be right now. I don't know if that's really answering the question or not. Did I answer that?
I think one of the questions is, you know, none of us really know, because George was so secretive. None of us really know exactly what George had in mind for the sequels in the first place. We know that it was his vision of a, you know, like a family soap opera. But without the details, it's hard to make a direct comparison, isn't it?
Yeah, I always wanted Ron Howard to direct a Star Wars movie, and finally that kind of happened. It came about eventually. But yeah, it's different now, and I think George is happy to let that go. You know, so I'm okay with it, and I think he is too. So.
Obviously, part of the original trilogy, charm was the practical effects with Yoda and the rest. Are you glad to see the return to more practical effects from the CG of the prequels?
I don't know if I quite heard that, almost.
So, yeah, sorry. Are you glad that there's been a move back to practical effects from the CG effects in the prequels?
Yeah. Is that a question for me?
It's ours.
Yeah, please.
Right, okay. Yeah, I'm a practical effects guy, so I have to be really happy to see things going back that way. But it's a matter of principle. We get a lot of young guys that come off of the ships where I've got my museum, and obviously are into anything that's computerized, and they don't really quite see it the same way. But I was talking to Mike yesterday, and I was saying you never get the same nuance of realism, the sense of life, out of something that's animated, either overly mechanical or something that is animated, that you do out of a muscle, out of some physical movement that someone makes. So I was very happy to see in The Last Jedi that he, you know, he was a lot, he'd gone back to being a puppet, and I thought they made a very creditable shot at putting him together, much better than Episode 1, which we basically try not to talk about. You know, one of the things was, when they did Episode 1, I never imagined, I recommended them to keep him as a puppet, and I recommended Nick Dubman to do that because he was our trainee on Empire, and so he knew how it was done. I didn't ever imagine that they would make him out of a different material, silicon instead of foam latex, and that would make him heavy, and then you'd have to change the mechanism, and then he'd have to be painted different. He didn't look the same at all. So when they made him the CG, I couldn't really complain, because I felt that he looked more like the original. But, you know, inside I was a little sad to see that technology go.
Yeah, if I could add, I guess another a part of that would be we can now use the technology to make what we do easier now. So, for example, we can lose arm rods on puppets. We can lose puppeteer heads. It's easier to key out 6 puppeteers behind a character if we need to. So now they even do it in TV shows. It used to be that there was, you were lucky to get one shot in a film in the 90s that went from film to digital intermediate for some special effect and then back out to film again. Now that everything the new movies are all shot on film still, but generally speaking, everything is digital. And we were working on the last Muppet TV series. We had Miss Piggy with 4 dancers carrying her across the set, and there were 3 puppeteers behind her. And we were just dressed in black velvets, and they were able to, they had the camera on a robotic track, but they were able to lose us for a TV show, and that never would have happened a few years before. So the technology now, I think there's a maturing perhaps where it's not one or the other, but the right directors and producers will know how to use them together to make our visuals sexier and
I think it's perfect to actually take new technologies to make old technologies better.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the idea of just taking something that is new and saying, well, we'll just do that because it's new. One of the problems that you have when everything is CG is, there are no bones and there are no limitations. So you're tempted, the animator is tempted to do things that just aren't feasible and that can separate the viewer from belief in what they're seeing.
Some of it's physics as well.
Effects of any sort, performances of any sort are supposed to support the story. If they distract from the story, they're actually a negative thing. And I think too often CG has been a distraction.
Yeah, so I think overall, generally, the new Star Wars movies to me are embracing the best of both worlds. And I think that's a really good place for us to be right now, finally, after several decades. So, yeah, good.
Do you know what, ladies and gentlemen, on a personal level, because we're going to have to end it there, I am a girl who's been bullied all my life from being this big to being in an office full of people who tell me that I'm sad for liking Star Wars, for liking the X-Files, who have called me really derogatory names for the stuff that I like. And to be sat on stage with these people, I might be pregnant, so I'm probably a little bit hormonal, but to be sat on stage with these people from a film series that is... It means so much to me because my granddad introduced it to me and I introduced it to my daughter when she was only 7 months old. She fell asleep. I'm hopeful that one day she'll stay awake. So from the bottom of my heart, old or new, it's still the same story and we'll still, hope that for me, it's amazing. So thank you to all of you for making my childhood and to everybody here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please have a massive cheer for Mike, for Spencer, for Nick, and for Ben?